9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. We will call to order the Truckee Meadows Fire Board for November 27th, 2018. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We will start by asking Commissioner Lucy to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucy. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Certainly. Marcia Burke-Bigler, Chair.
Here.
Kitty Jung, Vice Chair. Present. Bob Lucy. Von Hartung.
Present.
G.D. Herman.
Here.
Fire Chief Charles Moore.
Here.
Deputy District Attorney David Watts-Fial.
Here.
I'm Nancy Parent, County Clerk. You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And with that, we will go to public comment. Chief.
Item 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners' agenda. The district will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the Board of Fire Commissioners as a whole.
Madam Clerk, I see no public comment.
I see none either.
All right, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the board. Commissioner, and number 4, Mr. Chief.
Item 4 is Commissioners' Fire Chiefs' announcements. I have 2 announcements.
Okay.
One, I'm pleased to report to the board that we were awarded First Responder of the Year from the Nevada Donors Network for the reason that our staff reported to and referred some decedents to the Nevada Donor Network. So we have been able, I think on 2 occasions, provide the gift of sight and the gift of life to people in the community who needed that. So I want to say a special shout out to Captain Chris Black, who was instrumental in developing this program, and he's done a phenomenal job for the district in that regard.
Great. Let's give them all a big hand. Thank you very much. Good job.
And then I do ask that we take the agenda out of order at the, following this, I ask that we go into the board adjourn into closed session.
Before, okay.
Before we proceed down the agenda.
No problem. Vice Chair Jung.
Wanted to commend you and your team for that award and ask you to please send that to our legislative delegation, that status, and potentially to Mayor Sheevy, because I know she championed that project. And I think she should know that we took that very seriously, took it on board, and won. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also, in public comment, I have Ian Satterfield. Public comment has been closed, Ian. Should we reopen public comment so Ian can make his comments?
I was just doing it for number 5, so not for the first public.
Oh, okay, you want your number 5. All right, we'll call you up on that. Thank you. All right. So, commissioners, anybody else have anything they want to add? Good job. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Well, then we will close item 4. And before we go into item 5, I believe we're going to take a recess to have a legal session. So we are in recess. Excuse me, we are in closed session, not legal session. So we are in recess for a closed session. And do we have a time?
Do we need a motion for this?
Yeah, we do need a motion for a closed session.
Madam Chair, second.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion from Commissioner Hartung, second from Commissioner Lucy to go into a closed session. And Mr. District Attorney, could you tell us, do you have a time frame within which you think we will be back?
We're estimating about 15 minutes. I don't think it'll take too long.
Okay, so let's look at about, say, 9:20 to 9:25. We'll be back. Thank you. We are in recess. Okay, we will call the fire board back to session. And with that, we will go to item 5. Chief.
Item 5 is discussion and possible approval of a health benefits program for district employees, dependents, and retirees, and author the chair of the Board of Fire Commissioners to execute all insurance contracts and service agreements pertinent to the approved health benefits program. Staff is,
Madam Chair, if we could,
Yes, Mr. Watsfield.
since number 6 was a closed session, it was for possible action. I don't know that we ever called for public comment on it.
I don't believe we did, no.
Okay, so you may want to call for public comment, just
On
in
item
case.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll open public comment, and we have Vice Chair Jung, are you still? Okay, and then in that case, we have Mr. Satterfield
So that's on public, pardon me, that's on number,
on item 5.
6.
pardon me, number 6. That was the closed session.
Oh, the number 6 was closed session,
I misspoke.
and we didn't call for public comment on that. But I don't see any public comment on that. No, there's no public comment on that, so we're cleared on that. Mr. Satterfield, we're on item 5, and I believe you are on our list for public comment. Please come forward.
Happy to.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you want background from staff first, Madam Chair?
Sure, we better probably do that for public, okay. Mr. Watsfield, you and I are certainly not on the same length, or we are on the same length and nobody else is with us.
We're doing well at 9:28 this morning, that's for sure.
Okay, let's see staff to do their presentation. Chief?
So staff recommends a renewal of the existing health plan as it exists, the current co-pays and current deductibles, and the current aggregate amount of the HSA contribution to employees who choose the high deductible plan. Those contributions are to the employee's health savings account, which they can use for a variety of health-related expenses. The district and the union negotiated the plan over the last year and did not come to an agreement, but nevertheless, we are at a time constraint to renew this by January 1. Staff believes that the renewal is what the union wants. Perhaps they also are asking for some additional HSA contributions. So the options before the board are to renew the plan as it exists today in the aggregate amounts, to consider the union's request for additional HSA contributions, or something in between.
Okay, Chief, for the record, we have historically renewed the HSA along with the insurance plan at the same time?
Yes, Madam Chair, we've only had the HSA in place, I believe, for 1 year, 2 years, but those aggregate amounts have stayed the same.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any comments from the commissioners? Okay, in that case, now we'll go to public comment, and we will open public comment. I had Mr. Ian Satterfield, so I'm assuming he's still on there. Mr. Satterfield. Good morning.
Good morning. Ian Satterfield, Local 2047 President for the record. To speak directly on this, we did meet over 11 times, and we had some great discussions, and I know that there was some miscommunication that happened towards the end, which kind of led to where we sit today. But the one thing that we did agree on and that we worked very hard on was that we saw a benefit in moving employees from the PPO plan over to the HSA plan, and that there was valid savings in doing so. And so we both agreed to work hard to educate employees, because that was a key piece that was missing, was the education piece of what the benefits for an employee are for an HSA versus the PPO. So with that said, we, as the local, voted on maintaining the renewal plan as it exists today. Currently and historically, we have had an HSA plan that has lasted over 2 years, and the aggregate cost has been cost neutral to the PPO plan. So if the PPO plan went up, so did the HSA at the same rate of whatever the PPO plan was. And that was what was agreed upon, and there was nothing in writing and nothing. It was always a handshake agreement at the insurance table. So with that being said, it's Local 2487's belief and request that we do keep it cost neutral. And with that, the cost neutral will be approving it with that increase in the HSA as well as the renewal of the existing PPO plan. And if anyone has any other questions in regards to how we got to where we are today, I'd be more than willing to talk to you afterwards on how we got to the union voting on keeping the renewal plan. But again, we recommend that we keep the plan as it was the last 2 years and have the HSA be a cost neutral, which would be including that increase of 46, what do they have it here as? 46,000. And just a note to that's a cost difference from $60 to $80 per employee, so an increase of $20 per employee. Thank you very much.
Now I have Vice Chair Jung.
Ian, I have a question for you, Mr. Satterfield. So are you in agreement with the staff recommendation then that says that we should approve it to include the contribution as outlined in the background and move on from there? So keep it status quo?
We are in agreement with the recommendation to renew the current renewal plan health benefit program, which is the PPO side, with the addition, which is the fiscal impact note that's above, with the increase to the HSA contribution as requested by the union.
But you said it was going to be cost neutral. This is not cost neutral.
So historically, the way that the HSA has been funded has been cost neutral between the two plans. Meaning, if the plan for the PPO costs this much for an individual employee, the HSA was the same, meaning the contribution to the employee was no different.
But it's not cost neutral for the organization. It's cost neutral for the employee.
Correct.
But not cost neutral for the organization.
Correct, but historically, that is what we've done in the past, is kept it so that the benefit to the employee is the same whether you're on the PPO or the HSA. If it goes through with where it's currently at, the people with the PPO are gonna have a better benefit than the people with going to the HSA. I know it's confusing.
I'm very confused now because you said cost neutral and that you've always
Cost neutral
agreed with
between
that
the two
with the handshake, not with any writing, which
Correct.
I would advise you is not a good idea to do business.
Well, we're in negotiations right now, and we have an offer on the table to request exactly that.
Chief, can you explain to me this cost neutrality?
Cost neutrality between the two plans keeps basically the deductibles the same. Nevertheless, not the deductibles, I'm sorry. Ashley, would you mind, may I defer to Ashley or to staff? I'm going to mess it up.
Sorry.
Ashley Barrington for the record. The cost neutrality he's talking about is, basically they took the PPO premium on a per month basis and then subtracted the high deductible health plan premium, and the difference per month, they multiply that by 12, and then that's the district's HSA contribution to that employee HSA. So cost neutral, the high deductible premium plus the employer HSA contribution is equal to the PPO premium.
Okay, well,
So that's how it's currently structured.
I'm not willing to change anything at this point, not knowing anything at this point, and hearing completely different sides. So I think that we should do with what the recommendation is here, because your insurance is going to run out, and continue working on a true cost neutral or swallowable minor increase. That's just the pleasure of this commissioner with the timeline that we're facing right now.
Thank you, Commissioner, or Vice Chair Jung. I also have some concerns about this concept of cost neutral when it's going to cost the district more money. So I understand the concept of not being cost neutral as far as the employee is concerned, but it's still going to cost the district considerably more money. So that concerns me a little bit. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I won't be supporting this today. We have 2,800 or nearly 2,800 employees that we moved over to prominence in good faith. And yet we have approximately 144 employees and retirees who are saying, no, we don't really want to do that. And so this opens the door for others to say, look, we don't agree with what the new plan is. We want to stick with an old plan, and we don't even like the old plan. We want to do something different. And so it just, for me personally, I don't think that there was any bargaining in good faith. This is digging one's heels in a negotiation, and compromise means that nobody gets everything they want and everybody gets something that they want. And this is getting to keep exactly what you have. And so I will not support that based on the 2,800 employees, deputies, DAs, everyone who went over to the new plan in prominence.
So are you, Commissioner Hartung, clarify for me, are you saying you will not support renewal?
I won't support an 11.12% increase in the plan. So
But you would support just complete renewal of the plan as it currently exists?
no, that's impossible. We can't do that. We can't renew the plan.
So what
as-
happens if we don't have insurance in
You know,
January?
that's a question that legal will have to answer. Again, I don't think that they bargained in good faith. They drug this thing out, and they met 11 times. 11 times. And so that's, to me,
Vice
that's a, you know, pushing the system to the max.
Okay.
All the other employees were
Hang on just
in this process that reduced cost to the county, and some employees were in the middle of treatments and had to make changes. It was not an easy thing for everybody. So I think in fairness to the other bargaining groups, that we need to take a step backwards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Westfield?
Thank you. Just a reminder that the county bargains with each of its bargaining units, which are not related to the Truckee Meadows bargaining units. The funding for the for Washoe County employees comes out of the Washoe County General Fund. The Truckee Meadows General Fund is a different fund sourced from different revenues, and the groups are not technically related. A second point is the negotiating terms for the Washoe County employees. Washoe County employees all have the same contract term that discusses an insurance negotiating committee. It's made up of a variety of members of each of the associations and a member of management. Everybody votes, and then ultimately a decision gets made, and that result can in fact be that if the employees are at, I think there's 9 people on there, so if it's an 8-to-1 vote and the employees want to have one plan and management wants another one, there's a separate dispute resolution process that's provided for in that contract. The contract with 2487 does not have that exact formation of an insurance negotiating committee. The contract says the parties have to negotiate. They've each set up their own committees and they've each negotiated on them. But they're very different. They don't have the same processes. And like I said, the funding source for Truckee Meadows firefighters is not the same as it is for deputies, WCEA, or any of the other county agencies. And just a reminder, I know the commissioner knows that.
Vice Chair Jung?
That's what I was going to ask, because I remember when we were talking about, Ms. Barrington, about the insurance, and remember I'd come up months ago and said, why is their increase so ridiculously wild? And can we bring them in under ours? It actually would have been more expensive for them, and the insurance didn't want them, because insurance is in the game of, you know, making money. So I don't believe that that's a fair comparison between the two different funding sources, 2 different bargaining units, and certainly it wouldn't work for them to go to prominence. It turned out to be not cost effective. So I am prepared to make a motion to maintain the status quo, to continue to work on it while you have, how many years would this be if we go for this?
1 year.
For 1 year, and continue working in and that is the form of a motion, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, Chief Moore?
If it would be helpful to the commission, I quantified the differences between the current HSA contribution and what the union's requesting. And if I may
I think that's fine, although I think it's fairly clear in the staff report. So commissioners, do you need a clarification?
Okay.
I don't see anybody who really needs one. I think the staff report's fairly clear. As I understand from the fiscal impact, if we simply renew everything as it sits right now, the increase would be $158,000. If we renew based on what the union wants to do with the HSA contract, the increase is $1,922,229 to the general fund. And frankly, I can't support that under the current scenario. So I am looking for a second. Let's close public comment since I see no more public comment. I am looking for a second to Vice Chair Jung's motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Okay, I don't see any. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Please cast your vote on the screen and then affirm your vote above. Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hartung voting no. And with that, we will move on to item 7. Chief.
Item 7 is Commissioners, Fire Chiefs announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda.
I see nothing on the list. Chief, do you have anything else? Commissioners, any questions, concerns, anything you want to add? Okay. So with that, we will close this and move to our final public comment. And I do not see any public comment on my screen. Madam Clerk, do you see any? No additional public comment? Okay, we will close public comment, and with that, we are adjourned.